Welcome to the Dan Casper Show podcast, your chance to catch the full show anytime, anywhere. If you missed it live on the radio, no worries. We've got you covered with all the sports talk, opinions, interviews, and conversations from the show. From the Packers to the Brewers to the biggest stories in sports and around Wisconsin, it's all right here. This is the Dan Casper Show podcast. All right, here we go. The third hour kicks off right now. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Making a turn on this week, making a turn on this program on this Wednesday morning. Coming up next hour at 9:30, we're going to chat with ESPN's Rob Demovsky, Packer insider, 1 week into a training camp. We'll get his thoughts on what's been going on with camp, some of his insights, and what has really stood out for him. So we'll hit that up in next hour. So plenty more Green Bay chat coming your way. It is a What If Wednesday, so what if? Send me some best what ifs. I'll throw it out to the rest of the listeners. When I throw these questions out from listeners, feel free to answer too. Okay, what if? And give me if you throw a what if out there, tell me what your answers would be for what if. But also, what are we doing here Wednesday? What's a sports story that's out there, or narrative, whatever you want to call it, where it just has you going, what are we doing here? All right, make it a good one, make it a fun one, send it on over. Brewers picking up a win last night with Logan Henderson on the mound. Logan Henderson improving to 6-1 on the season. And now we get the return of Kyle Harrison tonight. On the flip side, you've got Paul Skeens. But I'm excited to see Kyle Harrison returning here for the Brewers tonight. I mean, it's a big boost to this rotation. But there is undoubtedly a lot of pressure on him. And a lot of pressure on Logan Henderson. Between Kyle Harrison and Logan Henderson, they are going to be asked to essentially be top three in that rotation along with Jacob Misiorowski to lead this group to a strong finish for the rest of the regular season and into the postseason to be big-time factors into that. Yeah, they got Dustin May's coming over. But talent-wise, I think we all know who the top three starting pitchers are for this Brewers team. It's Miz, it's Harrison, and it's Logan Henderson. And it sounds like Kyle Harrison, when we were just kind of looking a little bit at his rehab start with the Timber Rattlers, maybe developing a little bit more of a new pitch. He threw the changeup quite a bit in that Timber Rattlers rehab appearance. So maybe he had a little bit of a new wrinkle to his arsenal. But when you see these three, or let's say four, okay? Let's include May on this thing. Is this a staff that can get it done? Are we almost, dare I say, undervaluing this Brewer staff a bit? Because when you look at it from a Major League Baseball standpoint, I mean, they have one of the best, if not the best, ERA among starters in Major League Baseball. So I think where people get nervous when it comes to this Brewers team is probably the experience. Yeah, if we look at total team ERA, Brewers are second best, 3.47. Yankees are number one at a 3.34. Boston's 3 at a 3.52. Detroit, and then Atlanta, and then the Dodgers. But I think it's honestly just the youth where it makes people a little bit nervous. You know what I mean? And I get it. I understand it. It is, when you get to the playoffs, it's going to be a different animal. Now, luckily, Jacob Misiorowski was able to experience that last year, and he pitched in some big moments in the playoffs. Like, I've got no concern with Jacob Misiorowski when it comes to the postseason. All right, I just broke it down here for starter ERA. Brewers are still number 2 at a 3.40, slightly behind the Tigers, who are 3.39. Dodgers come in at number 4 at a 3.49. If we're just looking at Dodgers with that. But is it, I still, you look at the numbers, be like, well, this is a good starting year. This is a good pitching staff with the Brewers. Are they getting enough love, do you think? Do you think they're getting the appropriate amount of praise and attention and credit? Or do you think it's lacking a little bit? Because we focused a lot on pitching at the deadline, right? The Scooble talk or another starter. But numbers show that, well, gosh darn it, the Brewers have the second best starting ERA and the second best overall team ERA. We're panicking a little too much? I don't think we were panicking a little too much. I think it boiled down to that experience level. Because it's an unknown. Again, the Brewers are doing stuff that people didn't expect. Nobody had Kyle Harrison doing what he was doing this year, where we were talking about a potential all-star nod for him. Nobody expected that. Nobody expected Logan Henderson. I think people expected Logan Henderson to be a good pitcher after what we saw from last year. But I think he's been pitching above expectation for this year. And I think a lot of us thought, okay, Miz is still going to be good this year, but Miz has blown it out of the water. We're talking Cy Young favorite. So those three starters alone have been amazing, wonderful, awesome. Can they continue to do it? And can they do it when it gets to the postseason? Harrison and Henderson are going to probably be the two bigger question marks. And I don't know, maybe scarred a little bit from last year. Not trying to put a lot of blame on him, but like Quinn Priester, all right? Like Quinn Priester last year won a lot of games in the regular season. Well, he struggled a little bit in the postseason. That started against Chicago. Nerves. And maybe that was a little bit more to do because it's where he grew up, pitching in at Wrigley Field. So we're all human. Those butterflies are going to be churning in our stomach. That happens to everybody. But you know darn well when Logan Henderson and Kyle Harrison start a playoff game, regardless if it's in Milwaukee or on the road, they're going to be nervous. Now, how do they battle that nerves? How do they get through it? It's going to be their first playoff experience. But this is, I think, going forward in these last few starts, however many starts that Kyle Harrison has or Logan Henderson has, let's prime it up and let's continue to build that confidence and continue to build those consistent starts so you can rely on that when you get to the playoffs. But I'm just glad Harrison's back, and hopefully this is a group that can remain healthy up until the postseason. I still wouldn't mind if they go with like a 6-man rotation, depending on how these games line up. Give a little extra day to Miz. Give a little extra day to Harrison, who's just coming off the injured list. Logan Henderson came off right before the All-Star break. Try to keep him a little bit fresh. You got Dustin May. You got guys that you could do it with. Shane Drow and Robert Gasser could still be getting starts. Yeah, it takes away maybe a little bit from the bullpen, but, you got Chad Patrick in there that can give you some long relief, spot starts here and there. I still wouldn't mind a 6-man rotation to try to keep your top pitchers as fresh, as healthy as you possibly can before that postseason starts. Let's talk some more Brewers, though. All right, we got to take a quick break, and let's talk a little bit more about Christian Yelich coming up here. Pat Murphy making some comments about Christian Yelich yesterday. Initially, he was slated to bat 7th, but they scratched Jake Bauers from the lineup and moved Yelich back up to number 5. How patient should Pat Murphy and the Brewers be with Christian Yelich? Let's discuss that coming up after these quick words. Nobody plans for an accident, but when the unexpected happens, you want a team that you can trust. And at Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, They're proud to be locally owned and operated, providing quality collision repair and hometown service to drivers throughout the Chippewa Valley. Their experienced team takes pride in every repair, treating your vehicle with the same care and attention that they would give their own. When you need collision repair that you could count on, choose the people who live and work right here in your community. Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, locally owned, locally trusted, and here to get you back on the road. So Pat Murphy yesterday, initially before it was changed, but in the first lineup yesterday, Pat Murphy had Christian Yelich batting in the seventh spot in the lineup. Something that I think a lot of Brewers fans were saying. I know a lot of you that had texted in throughout the day saying, send him down. Send him down. Or send him down in the lineup. And initially they did. But he was ended up moving back up because of the Bauer scratch. So before the game, Pat Murphy did talk to the media, and this was before the lineup did change. He said, quote, I think there comes a point where you want something to change. You want something to spark. You want a different direction. This is what's best for the club, when he was talking about Yelich batting in the seventh spot. Now, after the game, when Yelich went 0 for 4 with a strikeout, Pat Murphy talked a little bit about the fan reaction to Christian Yelich and his ABs. Let's hear him. This is from our friend Hunter Baumgart, who will be joining the program tomorrow morning. But this is what Pat Murphy had to say regarding some of the fans' reactions to Christian Yelich's struggles as of late.
I heard a couple fans today, kind of start getting down on Yelly, and I know some of you guys are talking about the last this many games or that many. Like, look, guys, this guy's meant unbelievable amount to our organization, and the way he leads in there, you guys don't get to see. He doesn't need my protection. He doesn't need me to speak up for him, but he needs encouragement. So I'm asking the fans to understand this guy. Remember who this guy was. You know what I mean? I don't know how many MVPs the Brewers have had in their past history. MVPs. I mean, I'm just saying, Yelly, like, God, he basically won 2-2. If 19 he doesn't go down at the end, he wins that. So let's not forget what he's done. And that doesn't give him the grace to not, if he's in the lineup, he's got to perform, and he will. We just can't start piling on when this guy's done a lot. He deserves the respect, and hopefully our fans understand that. That's when, again, if we're going to thread the needle, we need Yelly.
And I think, Pat Murphy, again, as in his role as a manager for a baseball team, and that's where it's unique, right? That this role is unique, a little bit different than maybe a lot of coaching positions, because you're managing people. You're not just like game planning this. You're managing a lot of different aspects of this. And we have heard Pat Murphy over the years, call out younger players. Call out their performances. They got to be better. They got to do better. And I'm sure there's some fans out there saying, well, this is kind of a different tune now. Maybe giving Yelly too much the benefit of the doubt. And maybe so. I could see where a lot of people are saying that. But I also think it's, okay, this is a veteran, a guy who has played for a long time, has won, an MVP, almost won 2 MVPs, has had some really good years under his belt. Yeah, I think you approach it a little bit differently. And here's the thing. Pat Murphy knows more about how to get the most out of these guys, or what buttons to push than me, you, or the guy or the girl that's, sitting in Spooner, wherever. Like if Pat Murphy knows how to get the most out of these guys, or what buttons he can get away with, or what buttons he can push. So I've seen people kind of being critical of Murphy, saying he's being too soft on Christian Yelich. I've seen that. I understand why. Maybe why some people may think that, considering how he has approached it with some of the other younger players. But again, I think I trust Pat Murphy in terms of that he knows he knows the course of action to try to get the most out of these players. And when it comes to Yelich, I think it is a little bit different, because this is a veteran guy that has been doing it for a lot longer. It's not a young, up-and-coming player where maybe you can be a little bit harder on. And he's right, though, too. Like, he's not excusing Christian Yelich's performances. He mentioned it. And he also mentioned that, hey, we need him. We need him in this lineup. And I think, Yeli is not going to be the same Yelich of 2018, 2019. And that's where, Mike, you had the what if. And it's a great what if, and it's something that we've talked about a lot. You just kind of wonder what the heck happened. And after that knee injury, when he hit the foul ball off his knee, it's been weird ever since. Even when he was with the Marlins, he wasn't a big power hitter. He had 21 home runs one season. That was the most he had with the Marlins. And then he comes to Milwaukee the first 2 years, and all of a sudden he's this big power hitter. But there's no question Yeli has to be a better contributor. And I hope he is. And I know fans are going to be ragging on it, saying to bench him, sit him down. And maybe eventually, if he doesn't get out of this slump, maybe he does sit more often. But I think Pat Murphy's going to continue to give him options. He's going to continue to give him opportunities to hit his way out of this slump. And I think as long as the Brewers continue to win, he's going to continue to give him those opportunities. And I hope he gets it. I hope he figures it out. I hope he figures it out. I don't want Christian Yelich to fail. I don't think any fan should feel that way. I don't want him to fail. But there's no question he's got to be better. And if the Brewers are going to be a team that's going to compete for a World Series, they need Christian Yelich to perform better. And it stakes because he began the season, numbers-wise, pretty darn solid. I mean, March, I know it was only a handful of games, but he was hitting 353. Month of April, before he went on the injury list, he was hitting 294. May, 208, June 253, July 205. And in 3 games so far in August, the man is looking for his first hit. Hell, he hasn't even walked. It's a struggle. And I don't want to be all conspiracy theory-ish, but if this does continue to kind of go down the path that it continues to go down, would it surprise anybody if there's an injured list stint? No. How many times have we seen that in baseball? Oh, maybe got a back issue, back's tightening up, the abs, the obliques, that sort of thing. And I know everybody's going to point to hitting coaches. Hitting coaches aren't doing their jobs. Hitting coaches got to be doing this, doing that. I don't think you've played sports then. It's not a magic little thing that you can just turn on and off. Baseball, any sport, you go through slumps. If it was so easy to turn it off, and if it was so easy to give one little tip or one little adjustment on a swing, we'd never see slumps in any sport. I think at this point it's just become mental. Now it's starting to get into his head. As much as he's trying to probably keep it out of his mind, as much as he's trying to stay focused, we're all human. Some are better at the mental game than others. That's what makes pros so great, because of their ability to play the mental game, to zone that out or tune out all that stuff. My mental game when I played sucked. It was awful. I let it affect me. But these pros, a lot of these pros, man, they could tune out some stuff, and they have a bad, stretch, and sometimes it doesn't faze them. But I think at this point, the longer it goes, the more and more it's going to creep into his mind. He just needs a couple games where, all right, let's get out of this thing and start to build that confidence again. All right, we got to take a quick break. Back with more, though, coming up after these quick words. You're looking for your next great night out? Well, make it the VFW Post 305 in Eau Claire with live music, exciting events happening throughout the month, great food, cold drinks, and a fun, welcoming atmosphere. There's always a reason to stop by, whether you're meeting up with friends or looking for something fun to do. VFW Post 305 has something for everyone. So make sure to follow the VFW Post 305 on Facebook to stay up to date on all their latest events and entertainment, because there's always something going on at the VFW Post 305, located 1300 Star Avenue in Eau Claire. I was just kind of curious, post-trade deadline power rankings, MLB.com has the Dodgers still at number 1, Brewers number 2. And they put the Brewers got a little guff from their fans for missing out on Skubal, but don't sleep on the acquisition of Dustin May, whose stuff has been great this year. He's had moments of inconsistency, but also moments of dominance. He'll be scary for whoever faces him in the postseason if he's healthy. So, Dustin May, by the way, is scheduled to start tomorrow, I believe is what I saw for the Brewers. Let me see if I can find it really quick. I believe that's... So we're going to see him... Let me see if I have it saved here. Otherwise, I'm looking in one spot, but I can look somewhere else. I'll have to find it later. But I think it was Thursday. Don't 100% quote me. Let's see if I can find it here. But Dustin May also said, too, that he was, Thursday. Okay, so it is Thursday. I just saw it. But Dustin May, he talked a little bit to the media yesterday. What did he have to say when he found out he was traded to the Brewers from the Cardinals? Well, let's hear from him.
I was stoked. I mean, being able to come to a team that's leading the division by a lot, very good ball club, and got a really good chance to go to the playoffs and make a run. I'm very, very thrilled to be a part of it.
Having pitched again this season, what do you think about just kind of not just the pitching staff, but the offense?
Yeah, offense is great. We got a lot of guys that can string together some ABs, and it's a tough group to pitch against. And now I'm very glad that I don't have to pitch against them again.
Can you elaborate on that? Just like what you think this lineup presents, right? Like as an opposing pitcher, navigating that.
Yeah, they're very deep. They don't like to punch out. They like to have long ABs. They're tough to game plan for because a lot of guys do a lot of different things well. So it's a tough team to face. So they're very deep.
All right, again, that's new pitcher Dustin May chatting with the media yesterday. And again, he will make his Brewers debut tomorrow, hopefully to secure a Brewers win. Logan Henderson also chatted yesterday, and Logan Henderson was a name that was mentioned quite a bit in some potential trade rumors and maybe mentioned as part of a trade package for one Tarek Skubal. What was his thoughts on all that?
I mean, you hear some things are sent, and especially I really try not to look at that stuff because we're living it in here, and anything that we see online, it's like we're living it. So I don't think there's a whole lot of purpose in us taking. I mean, I didn't get traded. I mean, I saw my name thrown in there, and actually saw Arnold earlier, and I said thank you for dishing me away. But like I said, I love this team, and I had it sent to me a few times. But again, it doesn't carry much weight. It's a lot of talk, and I'm a Brewer, so.
There you go, Matt. That's Logan Henderson saying, I saw Matt Arnold, and I said, thank you for not trading me, not dishing me away. I love this team, and said, I'm a Brewer. So, and I know there's still talks out there about the Brewers, what was the package like. And if you want, you can go to Brewers.com, and you can see Adam McCulvey has a really great piece up, and he dove into or he dug into some stuff, talked to some sources, and kind of said, based on conversations with multiple club officials over the past few days, the Brewers believed that they made a strong offer to the Tigers for Skubal, maybe stronger than the one the Dodgers gave, who landed him with a trio of prospects. Milwaukee's initial proposal was also 3 prospects, according to sources. All 3 were hitters, and at least 2 were top 100 prospects. One of them was shortstop Luis Pena. The Brewers' other position player prospects in MLB's pipeline version of the top 100 are Jesus, who is off limits, Luis Lara, who probably wasn't in play after the Brewers committed to him, giving him a 7-year extension, Jet Williams. Different sources believed a third hitter was either on one version of a top 100 list as well or just outside of it. Logan Henderson's name was, according to McCulvey's sources, they don't know the potential pitcher. Says that the Tigers wanted a starting pitcher or a pitcher that could produce right now. And they don't know if it was initially Logan Henderson, but that was kind of the thought. Yeah, it says the Tigers, though, wanted a controllable major league pitcher in the deal. None of the sources would say who they favored, but Logan Henderson was among the names teams were asking for the most often. So we can't say for sure which 3 names were in the Brewers' best offer, but it was strong, said Adam McCulvey, and that made the Tigers' choice to send Skubal to the Dodgers especially frustrating. Not only did the Brewers not get him, but now they may have to go through him to reach the World Series. And I had seen some stuff, too, that it was the Tigers that reached out to the Dodgers and said, let's make a deal. And apparently there was some stuff floating out there, too, that they wouldn't even listen to Tampa Bay and that they asked so much from the Brewers that they knew that the Brewers would not pull off that deal. So, again, does it go to, were they favoring Skubal? Were they saying, hey, we know you want the Dodgers. Thank you for your service. We'll cater to you. It comes at the cost of maybe potentially not getting as much in return. Remains to be seen how that all plays out. And we probably honestly won't know the whole-on answer. The thing is with this Skubal one that maybe concerns me a little bit is the clubhouse reaction. Because Pat Murphy said on Monday that, quote, I mean, the initial reaction that it was kind of like us against the Dodgers for Skubal, I don't believe that for 1 minute. I'm not saying I know we went after trying to get that player. I don't know exactly the details of it all, but I know this. It isn't as simple as that's a better package. It's not as simple as that. There's a lot of layers to it. I don't understand it fully, but I think this is a bigger situation than, well, that was a better package. And to say that the Brewers didn't try is simply incorrect. I don't think that we could be thinking about the Dodgers right now. This is August 3rd when he did say this, and I don't think we can assume anything. We've got to play ball. We've got to play baseball. This has affected us already. It's already affected the team. I think that's the reality, and I don't think it's healthy. But it's part of our game right now. We can't try to pretend it's not there. We can't lie to the players. All that being said, we have to respond to it now. So is he referring to in the clubhouse that, you know, it's on the minds of guys? Are they like disappointed it didn't happen, so they're down in the dumps or whatnot? If that's the case, move on. I know that's easier said than done, but move on. Sal Frelick said, I mean, I don't know if discouraging is the word. Obviously, no other guy like that is out there, but I don't think anybody in this room is like, we need something, or like, please, please. No one feels that way. It's like, you know, a guy like that could help any team that gets him, right? I don't think anybody is too surprised where he ended up. The team gets a lot of those blockbusters. Garrett Mitchell said, I don't think I'm shocked by it, but we always had that underdog mentality, average Joes. I know we're not really looked at or treated like that anymore, but that mentality is always a great place to be. DL Hall simply said, they're not unbeatable. Nobody's unbeatable. And I do like the approach that Pat Murphy kind of said, too. He said, does it force you to go and sharpen your sword a little bit? Yeah. So if that creates a little better edge, so be it. It's still not going to make it easy when we play the series against the Dodgers next week. I'm sure they think they got a little better this week, and they probably did. But I think by the end of the day, we'll have gotten better. If anything else, maybe this time of year will help us start to refocus on, okay, who are we? And how do we get there? We created this. Where do we go from here? All right, let's take our final break here as we start to wrap up the third hour. We'll get to some football talk coming up in the next hour. Continue to send us your what ifs if they're good ones, if we like them. We'll relay it to the masses. Also, your what are we doing here's. You can send those on over too. We'll take a quick break before we wrap up the third hour. We'll be right back after these few words. What's going on at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire? We'll make sure that you're, again, following their Facebook page because they've got like 1 day sales, 3 day sales, couple days. You never know. But today, like for today only, buy one high chi 2 entree meal, get the second for just $1. So that's for today only at Wednesday, today only. Wednesday is today, August 5th. Buy one high chi 2 entree meal, get the second for just $1. And put this on your calendar here too. Coming up on Saturday, August 8th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., you can join Hy-Vee in Eau Claire for their back-to-school Demo Fest. Sample products from brands you'll find at Hy-Vee and get a head start on the school season. And, of course, you can check out the flyer for some of the latest and greatest sales going on. Like, oh, boy, I'm going to tell my kid on this one, $2.99 Tombstone frozen pizzas. Load up the deep freezer for that. You've got $8.99 Hy-Vee Choice Reserve Boneless Beef New York Strip Steaks also on sale. And don't forget, too, take advantage of some of the sales to earn some perks where you can save some money at the gas pump. All right, we're talking like with your perks, you could save up to $4.22 off per gallon this week with the perks that you can earn. So, again, more details, you can look at the Hy-Vee flyer located on their Facebook page. Coming up in about 40 minutes, we're going to chat with ESPN insider, Packers reporter Rob Demovsky. He's going to be joining us at 9:30. So with 1 week into camp, we'll get his take, his analysis, his expertise on what he has seen, what has stood out so far in Packers training camp. So that's coming up in about 40 minutes or so. But we have hit the 1 week mark. 1 week mark. And let me throw it out to you, listeners. It's a very simple question. Very simple. You follow it just like I do. From everything that we have heard, everything maybe even that we have saw or read, is there a player that has stood out to you, or what has really stood out to you from all the reports that have been out there about the first week of camp? Is there something that has popped up? Maybe a player like, oh, man, it's great to hear what we're hearing about Brandon Cisse or Jordan Morgan or Barron Sorrell or Matthew Golden or Evan Williams. You know, like what is there a player? Is there or maybe it's like, hey, I love what I'm hearing about Jonathan Gannon's defense so far. Maybe yeah. All right, you follow it, I follow it. Yeah, it's only 1 week, so I don't want to overreact to a whole lot of it. But hey, this is what we got to work with. So let me know. Think about it for a few minutes, and you can send those on over. Okay. Meanwhile, tonight's game between the Brewers and Pirates, first pitch is at 6:40. Coverage will begin on your radio dials 35 minutes prior. So radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM. Got Kyle Harrison on the mound going up against Paul Skeens. It's been a little bit since we've seen Kyle Harrison. The last time we saw Harrison was back on the 8th of July, where he went 4 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, just a couple strikeouts. Before that, too, before that start, was the Diamondbacks on the 3rd, where he only went 2 2/3, gave up 3 earned runs and 3 strikeouts. And remember, he had said at that time, too, he was dealing with a little bit of a like an elbow forearm thing. Kind of downplayed it. But then he ends up being on the injured list for just under a month. So hopefully we get the version of Kyle Harrison that we saw in the month of May. If we get that version for the rest of the year, starters are in good shape. Remember, that was when he was 4-0 in 5 games started with a .96 ERA. He was good. He was really good. If we can get that version again, buckle up, baby. Let's go. But remains to be seen. I'm excited to see him back on the mound and see what he can give this group, give this starting rotation. Because, again, like we've been saying quite a bit, there's going to be a lot riding on his arm. There's going to be a lot riding on his shoulders. And I'm excited tomorrow to see Dustin May, too. I don't want to put a lot of stock into his first career start, but I think, for one, I'm excited to see Chris Hook, the Brewers pitching peeps, get their hands on Dustin May. But also, Contreras back there calling the game for Dustin May. Because as we mentioned too, he's shown some really good stuff this year, but maybe just a little inconsistent. Is that something that maybe Chris Hook or Contreras or the whole pitching group can kind of help him become a little bit more consistent? But, yeah, Dustin May will make his first start as a Brewer coming your way tomorrow in the series finale for the Brewers before they begin series with the Twinnies. Yeah. Brewers Twins. Anybody going to that one, too? They got the dice game giveaway. I wish I was going to that one to get one of the bar dice giveaway. Oh, that thing is so cool. All right, a few messages to catch up on as we wrap up the first hour. We got Chris saying it's definitely a big what if on Christian Yelich. Ever since he fractured that kneecap, he has been a completely erratic player. It is hard to wonder. It's hard to wonder why he has been that way, and is it as simple as that knee fracture? Another texter coming in and saying, excited to see Kyle Harrison get back on the mound today. Hopefully he can get back to what he was earlier in the season. If he is, I think this is an incredibly underrated starting staff for the Brewers with Mizorowski, Henderson, Harrison, and now adding Dustin May as the veteran. Another texter here says, I've been impressed from what I'm hearing about Jordan Morgan. I've been one who has been very critical of his play. I didn't like the pick, so I hope that these reports coming out of camp means that he can be the long-term fixture at the left tackle spot. That comes from Matt on our texting line. Another message on here says that I've been liking what I've been hearing about Brandon Cisse, says Jake. I think he's going to be an opening day starter for the Packers on the outside of Keyshawn Nixon. Another texter says, I haven't heard a whole lot about Marshawn Lloyd. You're right. I guess I haven't heard a whole lot about Marshawn Lloyd either. Maybe we'll ask Rob that coming up at the back end or at the halfway mark of the next hour. But a couple more messages here before the shot clock cuts me off. Another texter, Jack. Jack chimes in. Saying, I've been liking what I've been hearing about Matthew Golden. I think people are ripping on his rookie year too much, but I don't think it was his fault. I think it was a byproduct of Matt LaFleur and the offense not featuring him more. I think he is going to surprise a lot of people this year and be an absolute stud within this offense. Another texter says, good to see Jackson Churio hitting here well as of late. Dinger last night, 3 hits. If Yelich is going to continue to struggle, that puts more pressure on our other hitters like Jackson Churio, Bryce Terang, and Contreras. Yeah, you had Jackson Churio last night, collected a couple hits. If you look at it, his last 60 at-bats, Churio has been hitting .283 Last 7 games, he's been up to a 310. So far on the season, Jackson Chourio, 14 home runs, 280 average, an OPS of an 805. He's actually, this year, his numbers are better than his career numbers so far. Like, he's a career 274 hitter, and he's hitting 280 this year. His on-base percentage is a 337 this year. He's a career 322. His OPS, 805 this year, career 786. Now, he's probably not going to get to 2020. He's only got 10 stolen bases. Could hit up to 20 home runs. But I think, is it fair to say maybe Chourio's having a quiet, very solid year? I think so. Kind of quietly. But you're right. I mean, if Yelich is going to continue to struggle at the plate, it puts more pressure on these other hitters. It puts more pressure on not only the ones that you mentioned, but I would even say Pratt and Vaughn and Bowers and Lara or whoever's going to be, Ortiz even, for crying out loud. It definitely puts a lot more pressure on those guys. And on your pitching staff, the young pitching staff too. All right, shot clock's going to cut us off. 1 more hour to go. We got some news updates. We'll be right back.